She doesn't have to let Courtney Love walk all over her and treat her like and call her names and drag her name through the mud on social media just because Courtney Love was in some band 25 years ago. What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA, and today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite 90s grunge icon, Courtney Love, and how she is mad at yet another up-and-coming artist. This time, it's Olivia Rodrigo. Before we get into that, if you haven't, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you get on my videos. Also, if you haven't, join my Discord. We're up to over 3,000 people now. Everyone there is super cool. There's a link to that in the description as well. Also, pardon me if I look sweaty. We've got this crazy heat wave here today, so I'm a little bit hot sitting here in front of the lights, but yeah, we'll do the best we can. So if you're watching this, you know who Courtney Love is, but maybe you don't know who Olivia Rodrigo is. So let me tell you, she is probably, well, not probably, she's definitely like the biggest new thing in pop and kind of rock in, I don't know, like ever, I guess. Like her song Driver's License that came out in January debuted as like the biggest song of all time, I guess, or at least apparently of the streaming era. She has over 60 million monthly Spotify listeners. She kind of occupies that same space, I think, as Billie Eilish, was sort of like edgy alternative girl that's like kind of pop, but kind of also has a little bit of a rock sensibility. She's getting a lot of attention, and as Courtney Love always does in these situations, she needed to jump in and make it about herself.
You've had it, but I'll be there until
Courtney Love has accused pop sensation Olivia Rodrigo of plagiarizing artwork from Live Through This, the 1994 album by Love's band Hole. Spot the differences, twinning. Love captioned a promotional photo of Rodrigo holding a bouquet of flowers while wearing a tiara and smudged mascara. So far, everything is cool. Olivia Rodrigo replied and said, "Love you and love Live Through This so much." Then Courtney Love decides that she doesn't like it anymore, I guess, and like loses her shit. "It was rude of her and Geffen not to ask myself or Ellen Van Unworth for permission." Ellen Van Unworth is the photographer who did the whole album. She says, "It's a total ripoff, but it's happened to me my whole career, so I don't care, but manners is manners." And people were kind of divided over this. Some people, of course, were on her side. I kind of agree with this guy, Josh Heath, who said, "This is a silly thing to get mad about. Artists steal all the time. See Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie and countless others. Plus, she's a kid. Why not be proud of the impact you have on her and others instead of sniping at someone paying homage or borrowing one of your ideas? Some cyberbullying vibes on your part. Be an elder stateswoman, not a bomb thrower." Which is pretty much how I feel about this, aside from the fact that it's not even Courtney Love's idea at all, as I will talk about in a minute. But Courtney Love keeps going. "Stealing an original idea and not asking permission is rude. There's no way to be elegant about it. I'm not angry, it happens all the time to me, and usually I'm very gracious or say nothing, but this was bad form. That's not bullying or bomb throwing. This person's music has nothing to do with my life, possibly never will. It was rude, and I have every right to stick up for my work. Don't gatekeep me. I'm honorable as fuck to my fellow artists, and I expect the same." So let's unpack a few things here. First of all, do these two things even look the same? I would say, I guess, kind of, in the sense that they're sort of the same concept. And more importantly, she cannot claim ownership of the idea of this concept at all because she admits that they borrowed it from Stephen King's movie Carrie. Von Unworth, that's the photographer, recalls the days before the photo shoot in Los Angeles. "Courtney Love called me, she says. We were on the phone for an hour. I didn't say much but listened, and Courtney had the idea of reenacting the scene of the 1976 movie Carrie, which I loved too." And ironically, taking credit for other people's ideas is kind of a pattern for Courtney Love. For example, as you may know, she didn't even write Hole's biggest song, Celebrity Skin. Billy Corgan wrote that, or at least wrote the hook, the part that most people know. So it's very ironic that she would get up on her high horse like this. She also did the same thing to Lana Del Rey, who covered Heart-Shaped Box. And what did Courtney do? She jumped in and tried to make it about herself. "You do know the song is about my vagina, right? On top of which, some of the lyrics about my vagina I contributed. So next time you sing it, think about my vagina, will you?" Not really sure what her point is there, but I don't know. It seems to me like Courtney Love just has this pattern of whenever some young up-and-coming female artist starts to get some shine, she wants to jump in and steal the spotlight. That's what it looks like to me. It's especially ironic considering that Courtney Love tried to steal the riff for Heart-Shaped Box unsuccessfully. Love said she overheard him working on the song's riff in a closet. She asked him if she could use the riff for one of her songs, to which he replied, "Fuck you," and closed the closet door. You read these tweets, this seems like something that someone under the influence of drugs or alcohol would write. It's just kind of strange cadence. And I'm not a psychiatrist, so, I'm not gonna diagnose what's wrong with her. I don't know if it's like narcissistic personality disorder or whatever, but regardless, there's a few questions. First of all, what should Olivia Rodrigo do in this situation? First of all, you gotta consider that she has been accused of copying quite a bit. For example, a lot of people are comparing her song Good For You to Misery Business by Paramore, and to be honest, it is pretty close. I mean, there's all these mashups of it. You'd be hard pressed to say that there isn't some common ground there. She also got called out for allegedly stealing her edgy cheerleader look from some other artist. Again, I don't know that the idea of an edgy cheerleader is something that any one artist can claim ownership over, but there is some similarity. We don't know if it's tribute, we don't know if it's coincidence, we don't know if it's stealing, but this is a pattern for Olivia Rodrigo, and it seems to me that it's something she needs to be careful of. And to be clear, these things may not be her idea. These photographers may have brought the idea to her. She could have said yes to it, not even knowing where they got it from, but still, because her name is on everything, she's gonna be the one that takes the heat for it. So I would say any kind of creative idea that's brought to her by her team, whether that's a photographer, a producer, designer, whatever, she should just directly ask them, all right, so we're not borrowing this idea from anybody, right? The second question I would have is, should she fire back? Because I think Courtney Love really came for her in a way that's not cool, and she would be within her rights to do that. Like when Ice-T came at Soulja Boy and Soulja pretty much destroyed him.
Oh, real talk, this ain't no beef, nigga. Soulja Boy beef with Ice-T. You old ass nigga. Nigga, you hit me, your fucking arm gonna break.
And there's a part of me that would like to see Olivia Rodrigo do the same thing. If she told Courtney Love, why don't you take your boomer ass and fuck off? Your band peaked 15 years before I was even fucking born. I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. You don't own the concept of a prom queen in tears, so why don't you just go fucking kick rocks, grandma? There's a part of me that would like her to say that, but I don't think that would be wise. But if she does decide to fire back, I would support her. I mean, she has a right to stand up for herself. She doesn't have to let Courtney Love fucking walk all over her and treat her like shit and call her names and drag her name through the mud on social media just because Courtney Love was in some band 25 years ago. Maybe call up Ronnie Radke and ask for some tips. And lastly, the question is, what should Courtney Love do, or any other artist who's in the situation where they feel like maybe they've been copied? I would say, for the most part, if you're already established, say nothing. And actually understand that it only helps you by showing how influential you are. Think about every artist who's been copied a lot, like Linkin Park or Meshuggah, for example. Every fucking metalcore band on the planet has ripped off one of those two bands, usually both in the same song. Does that make anybody think Linkin Park is worse, or does that make anyone believe that Meshuggah is any less great? I don't think it does. If anything, it just makes people go, man, everybody rips off those two bands. They really did something special. Another thing that comes to mind is people who use uncleared samples, like Lil Nas X used a Nine Inch Nails sample in Old Town Road and apparently had to pay Trent Reznor a bunch of money for it. But if I was Trent Reznor, who's already super rich and famous, I'd be like, dude, don't worry about it. Pay me $1 for the sample so that we have a contract in place, but keep your money. This might be the only big single you ever have, and I'm not trying to fucking take the money out of your hands that I don't need. Do whatever you want with my songs. I don't give a shit. Best of all, you be like Billy Ray Cyrus and reach out for a collab. That's what he did. After he saw Lil Nas X come out with Old Town Road, it hit the top of the country charts, and the people in country were mad because this wasn't like a real country song or whatever. And so Billy Ray Cyrus came along and said, how about if I hop on the remix? Will that make it a real country song for you? He didn't have to do that, but I think it was really cool that he came along and chose to use the credibility that he had to support this up and coming artist that was doing something cool, and really benefited from that small gesture of support from Billy Ray Cyrus. At the very least, if you feel like somebody's copied you, reach out to them privately, and if everybody's cool, just let it go. Say, hey, we talked about it. We're cool, like Doja Cat did with Pliny, for example. That is how it's supposed to be done. Basically, the rule of thumb is ask yourself, what would Courtney Love do in this situation? And then do the exact opposite of that. All right, guys, that's everything I have to say about this one. Sad to see Courtney Love acting like Courtney Love, but you know, what else would we expect? Let me know what you think in the comments. Before I let you go, join my Discord at the link in the description if you haven't. And also, I want to thank everyone who supports us on Patreon, especially those of you who support at the True Cult level or above. It's because of your support that we're able to do a lot of things here on the channel. For example, the podcast, that's how I pay my producer. So I'm very grateful for that. Patrons get every podcast a week early. There's a members only private channel within the Discord that I'm in all the time. I do Q&As, I do some giveaways. There's a way to have me review your music or video or artwork or anything else that you would like to get my eyes or ears on. So if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can do that at the link in the description. And with that, I'm going to sign off for now, but I will see you next time.